So with that, I'm going to talk a little bit about adaptive leadership. This is my shortened version of what that's about. In the handout from yesterday afternoon, we talked about some different theories of change. One is Gil Rendell's the roller coaster of change, which is really helpful, helping us understand about the emotional and grieving part of whenever we face a change, and that leaders are quite often ahead of the curve as the rest of the congregation. We also talked about the idea of you have innovators, you have early adopters, you have people who are sort of the early majority and then the later majority, and then you have the persistent skeptics and folks that maybe will never come along on the change. And then we also talked a little bit about John Cotter's things that you need to lead change, a sense of urgency. There's a book called Our Iceberg is Melting. It's a little parable with penguins, and that does a nice job of explaining just how you lead change and different reactions to change and how leaders can work with that. So most of those, I also want to say about Gil Rendell, there's a UU University DVD set that has Gil Rendell talking to Unitarian Universalists about leading change. So that's a resource out there that if you're interested in hearing more about his model, that's available. There should be a DVD at your church library. If not, you can get it from the UUA. When we talk about adaptive leadership, we divide challenges into 3 different categories. One is a technical challenge. So the problem, defining the problem is pretty clear. The roof is leaking. We need new hymnals. Some of the financial things might be technical. The thing you need to know about technical challenge is that the solution's pretty clear, and all you need is enough power and authority and resources and expertise in order to deal with the technical problem. There's sort of a mixed problem where the definition might be clear, it's clear what's happening, but the solution isn't quite clear yet. So you need some expertise, but you also need people who are involved with the problem, the challenge, to help bring their expertise or their understanding of it. And that's where sort of the brainstorming or experimenting can come in dealing with the challenge. So a mixed challenge might be stewardship, where if you want to improve the stewardship in your congregation, you might bring in a consultant, but you also have people in the congregation who have a better sense of the socioeconomic mix of your congregation, the history around pledging, that sort of thing, and mixing those 2 things together, you can come up with a solution. Now, adaptive challenges are challenges where you're not quite clear what sure what the problem is, and the solution is totally unknown. And the group needs to approach adaptive challenges as a learning community. So it's basically saying, we don't know, but we're gonna stand together and learn together to try to address this. And this is a model that we're really trying to live into as the district and regional staff in the Unitarian Universalist Association. We know that the context of religious life in America is changing. We don't know where it's going. We don't know what it's going to look like. We certainly don't know how to react to it. But we do know that if we work together as a learning community, we can learn from one another and hopefully respond faithfully and effectively to the challenges we see coming up. So do you have any questions about this technical versus adaptive? So I want to just spend a moment thinking about just having you maybe try to come up with some examples of technical, mixed, and adaptive challenges. And we'll see what category we might put them in. Yes?
New boilers.
A new boiler.
Need for a new boiler.
Need for a new boiler, technical, okay. Another challenge we face.
What type of carpeting?
Carpeting, okay.
I would put that in mix.
Yeah, I put that in
I
mix.
put that in mix.
Ah,
Is that
okay.
in my opinion? Because that was such a big thing when we had our new building. And it seemed like there were a lot of,
There's issues.
I don't know, maybe it's technical.
There's issues like You know, can people with limited abilities get around on certain types of equipment? Or should you have hardwood floors for people who have allergies? You know, there's all kinds of.
Yes.
So there's accessibility issues that may not, to bring that aspect of our experience into it, or allergens. I know that certain chemicals used in carpets are problematic for some people. So yeah, there you go, there's a mixed. Other challenges that you don't necessarily have to categorize it, but if you come up with it, we'll let the group.
Changing governance structure.
Changing governance structure, there's a good one.
Adaptive.
Adaptive.
What about
Although it's a little bit mixed, because there's a little bit of technical expertise, right, that you can bring in. But it's heavy on the adaptive part, the group learning. But there's, I mean, you can read Dan Hotchkiss's book, for example. There's a little.
You can read it.
You can read it, you're not necessarily going to get the answer.
You can read it if you want.
But for the group to lead the change, it's really an adaptive kind of thing. Good. Another example?
What about changing or forming a mission statement?
Mission statement. Where would you put that?
I think that falls like governance, but it also comes up with the mix, because there's lots of studies and resources on the process of how to do it.
So the process part might be a little bit technical, but the
Right.
developing the statement and living into it, which is even more important. So, so process.
Can I ask a question? Renee?
Sure.
Because it's shown up twice now, maybe even 3 times. And I'm not trying to question your organization here, but I'm trying to get this in my mind. Instead of dealing with columns, might we be actually talking about continuum?
Yes. 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 That's actually better.
Okay.
Yeah. Because there is that sort of continuum there.
Or
So
Venn
where-
diagrams,
Yeah. Where in the
There would be
Venn.
overlapping.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
For
Absolutely.
learning, it's kind of nice to do it this way, though.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, as you're
So we get
approaching
clear
it.
on it.
And as we get into a little more details about the adaptive leadership and the strategies, it'll become clear that certain aspects might be technical, but other aspects are really adaptive. So,
I think one area that our congregation is just about decided, I think, is should we stay or should we move?
yeah. So, growth.
Yeah.
I mean, growth in general is really,
Yeah.
there's a, responding, how do we respond to the reality of our growth?
Also, what about lack of growth?
Ooh, stagnation. Yeah, that's another good one. Steve?
Oh, annual canvas, I just think it goes through the whole, from technical
there's
to
some-
mixing to
So
adaptive.
stewardship. We'll make that one a nice continuum. Good. So do you have a good sense of sort of a little, where we might put some things?
Where might you put something like dealing with disruptive behavior?
Ooh. So the policy itself is pretty technical, right? To writing the policy.
Yes.
So we've got the policy here, but what about living into the policy? It's a little more adaptive.
And you might need experts to do things like mediation and counseling. And
Yeah. So.
Is it about children or just people across the board?
could be either one.
How many of your congregations have disruptive person policies? So a few of you do? Columbus,
Right relations, you mean?
yeah, Columbus, right?
No, Southwest.
Oh, Southwest. I don't know if you do or not. Anyway, I'm not sure. And how about safe congregation policies around children and stuff? All you do, okay. Pretty much the DREs have turned up the heat on that issue. So any any congregation, I think, that has a DRE that's connected at all to the greater movement as a safe congregations policy. Or has talked to Karen Lapidus or any of our other district lifespan faith development people. Excellent.